So we went ahead and went after all the item specifics, and we filled in a whole bunch, and this is what happened. Hey, it's Don. Today we're going to look at item specifics once again. I went ahead and started filling them in, and we pretty much finished all of the required already, and I put in about almost 900 or so recommended item specifics before we hit some snags. Now we're going to go look at this in just a second here, but to start off with, I did get some change, some results with the fact that I could send out a whole bunch of more offers to watchers. Now, I can't say this has anything whatsoever to do with me putting in the item specifics themselves, but what it does do either way is create some action on those listings. It kind of refreshes them because you've changed some feature in them. So it refreshes them and they get a new look, so to speak, on eBay for a little bit of a time. So we did get some traction with some of the ones that we messed with. So we went in and we actually filled in all of the item specifics that we had, other than one, the one we are stuck with because it's one that I sent an offer to a watcher on. Once you do that, it won't allow you to do anything with some of the item specifics themselves. Now, for those of you who've seen my last video, I had like 8,600 item specifics that were recommended. And we tried to bulk edit as many as we could, and we hit a major stumbling block almost immediately. Now, obviously, the item specifics that I had to fill out, I had to do one by one because there were so many different things that I'd have to look at for each individual one to begin with. I even tried originally to just bulk edit them all, but we had to keep clicking out of that to look at the listing and other things, so it just wasn't practical. We just went one by one. Now this here is the actual download file for just a small section of our listings. Now these are for postcards. I have 4,300 postcards up now, and they all need the exact same basic things. Biggest problem here is eBay put a whole bunch of them in the wrong categories. So not only do I have to look at the categories and move those around, meaning that I have to look at every single one of our postcards, over 4,000 postcards. If I want them to be correct by what eBay's asking for, I have to look at every single one of them. There's no other way around it. I figured we could go ahead and list them. I'll just say, yeah, they're all circulated, even though no collector's ever going to use the word circulated. They're never even going to think about what the heck you're talking about, because circulated isn't one. Posted or unposted is what they used to use, and something that made a little more sense than this. I just changed them all to circulated. It's not worth the hassle. Now, the biggest problem with the download is that you have no way to click that remember this or don't bother me again button, whatever it may say. So every time you fill these in, if you don't get them all, they're just going to come right back, because you can't click that option that says, hey, don't remind me again, I'm done with this. So again, there's just too many things. I'm going to have to look at every single one of these postcards, as well as maybe even all 7,000 plus item specifics that are recommended, each one of those listings. That's a month or two worth of work if I want to get these off of here. But there's no other way to do it. For me to have to check like era, when the card was made, I have to look at each card. Some of them we did not put the dating in the title because it wasn't important. It wasn't something required. It wasn't important. It was meaningless. Now there's other categories too. So I've already put in original. I've already put in circulated. And then era, it's going to be way too complicated to come in here. I have to look at every one. And this is just a small section. I think we downloaded 300. And again, some of these aren't even in the correct category. So it's going to be a fiasco to put these in at all. It's going to be something that will take months worth of our time to put in just to get the recommended. Does that mean our items won't show up? Does that mean that they are not going to show us or show our buyers our items? We don't know. All I know is since the 12th they started this, our sales took a dive off of a cliff. Never had I had this type of issue ever in a fourth quarter, ever. Even some of the other stupid things eBay has done and useless things they have done, I've still never had this sort of fiasco. So if I go back into and look at the item specifics and want to address them, you're talking 7,730 basically that I have to look at every single one of these to do something about it. And again, it's just not practical to go in and do that. So let's just look at one. Let's do a download right now and just see what we can do. Let's just see what options that we have. And when I go to download, it doesn't even allow me to download every one on my thing here. So let's get rid of a few things here. This is the other option that you can do. This is the download I just showed you. Now you only can do 50 categories at a time. Let's see where I'm at in here. Let's look for military. Let's try this one. It's a small one. So let's see what we can do on this one. Now it's going to take a minute here for it to download the file. It's only going to have that one tiny section there. This is the only other option that you have to fix these other than going one by one. Again, you can click them here and do them, but they're all different categories. There's no way to bulk edit or bulk do them all at once. So let's let this open up here. So here's the ones we just imported right here. So it's asking us for type. What type do we have? I don't think it actually showed buttons on here if I remember right. I think we went through here, and this was the whole issue. Yeah, so we're going to put in, in fact, we got to enable it, pardon me. You've got to enable it, and then we're going to type in here button. And then I'm going to just copy and paste this for any other one. In fact, see, again, right here, we're going to run into the problem. I have to actually look at the title to see what we're doing here. Every one is different. So some of these are posters. So again, I'm still having to look at every single one of these, even if I'm uploading them. And poster is not an option either. So then we're going to have to type that in. So again, it's not going to be some super easy fix. And in fact, I think a lot of these are posters here. So this is a poster, 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 poster. Yeah, most all these are posters. So I know we filled in some, but these look like they're... So the next one is a patch. Maybe patch is in there. So it's honestly only a little bit quicker, but this does not... In fact, we'll see what happens in just a second here. Patch is not in here, so that's kind of strange. So we've got patch is, we'll put. And then we're going to put pin. And that's actually all it says required. I don't see any other ones on here. We'll have to slide over just to make sure, because some of these could be buried in here. So D, E, nothing there. F, we got E to look at. So nothing there. So we can go ahead and save these. And then we're going to come back into eBay. And then we're going to upload. So we've got 7,728. Let's see if this actually changes. Again, I've been playing with this for quite some time, trying to figure out the best way. Not everything was uploaded. So let's see what it's telling us now. One failed. I'm not even going to bother looking at it. So it does look like it's lowered it by that much. Let's go back in here and see what else we can do. So we want recommended. It should only show one in the military now. So no, we still got 7, 8. Let's reload the page and just see if it maybe took a minute. It was 7,718. Let's see. Yep, it's went down 7. So it must take just a minute for it to process. Let's go back in here and look at the download just so you can see how many options there actually are. There's a ton of options. So I'm going to have to go in here little by little and peg off a few at a time. It's the only practical way whatsoever to do this. And if you look here, look at how many. Each one of these little boxes is another category. You only can do 50 at a time. They're going to be hopping all over the place. And if one fails each time, you're going to have to go back in and look at it one more time. So let's do something else this time. Let's download the vinyl record list. It's got over 1,000 records that it says I need to adjust. 10 to 1 says some of the recommended are going to be title, the artist again, which is already in the listing as well. So none of that's going to be useful in my book because it's already in the title. So let's wait for it to open up. Record label again. So most of these are going to be things that I would have to sit there and look at every disc one by one by one. And even if I fill in some of these, It's not going to make them go away because you have no option to click that button to not remind me, I'm done, don't bother me with this at all. There's no option in that aspect of it whatsoever. Material, again, so you're going to have to look at which discs are shellac, which discs are vinyl. These are 78s because it's a 10-inch. So 78s come in two different versions, shellac and vinyl. So I'm going to have to physically pull out each and every disc to take a look at it. It's the only way to know. I'm going to have to sit in here and look at every label because sometimes it's not in the title. And even if it is in the title, that means I'm going to have to one by one cut and paste 1,000 records. No other way on earth to satisfy what eBay is asking for. None. None, 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 none. No way. Sleeve grading. Many of them don't come with the sleeve. Release year. Who's going to want to look up by a release year for a record? Nobody, because there could be 10,000 records released in a year. Let's see what this one is here. This one looks like a screwy one. Edition. So is it a first edition? Most people aren't even going to know. Best of, collector's edition, first pressing. It might qualify for an LP, but for a 78 or for a 45, it's not going to qualify. This is roughly over 1/7 of all mine that they want me to fill in. There's no way on earth I'm going through 1,000 records and putting them in. I want to fill these in, trust me. I just want to get them off my list. But as of now, there is no option for me to do that without going through most of them one by one. That's just one grouping. Postcards are another 1,600 of that. It goes on and on. Then I've got trade cards and things like that too that are going to be atrocious, where I have to put in brand names. Brand names for things like this. So it did help with the ones that I was able to put in. I did get some more opportunities. If you noticed, my amount of send offers went up. It almost doubled in the last 2 days since we started slamming in these item specifics. Again, it doesn't mean it's because of the item specifics. It means it's possibly because of the action that I did on the listing itself to actually add that information in. If I didn't do and add anything in, who knows what would happen. I still may have had that, but I still cannot say that any of the item specifics I'm putting in are doing anything other than showing action on my account. We've been dead since the 12th. You can look at it on a calendar. You can see when it happened. So there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that whatever eBay is doing has screwed up and killed sales in tons of different categories. The biggest factor I might think would be that buyers don't know how to search anymore. They don't know how to narrow it down from before. So if people don't have the item specifics in the listing, they might not be able to sort it down at all. One of the ones I noticed on jewelry was that you can designate that it's an antique and then put an era in it. But that's not even a recommended one. That's not a required one. But if that's the way someone's going to search, not only are you going to have to put in the ones that are required, you're going to have to go in and put ones that probably should be in, like department. If someone's trying to sort down some sort of jewelry pin, you need to know if it's a men's or a woman's pin. So that's the department. That's not required either. That's not even recommended in most of them either. So like with a t-shirt, if you're going to be searching for a t-shirt, you're going to want to center it down to if it's for a man or a woman. If you're looking for a pin, you're going to want to know if it's for a man or a woman. Those are not ones that eBay is recommending, nor are they requiring that. The only way I can see it using the item specifics is for ones that eBay doesn't even say you should put in. So that's a big one. So if you're putting in anything that could be construed for a man or for a woman, it's under the department item specific. Make sure you select it for a man or for a woman. If there's a spot to put in if it's antique, yes or no, always put yes if it's an antique, because that'll be another way to show. Some of the other buttons state vintage. If there's an option to put vintage in and your item is vintage, make sure you put vintage in. That will allow people to search out the item specific for vintage items versus all the new junk. It's the one thing that I would say that eBay should have required, or should at least told you. I am no way going to waste time to fill in 7,000 plus. I'll do all the required ones as it states being required, but I'm not going to be able to spend that kind of time at all. Believe it or not, eBay was actually calling us to tell us we had 8,000 recommended item specifics that we should put in. Calling us, leaving messages on our machine at the house and business, telling us what we needed to do, even though it would mean I would have to shut my business down. I don't know about anybody else, but if you had to fill in almost 8,000 item specifics one at a time, it's going to take you a heck of a long time. Well, there we have it. Hopefully that gave you some ideas, some thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
Introducing the G.I. Joe Space-O-Matic. Space-O-Matic, the futuristic space vehicle you program yourself to make it go where you want, do what you want. Program it to lift, or to scoop, or use the magnetic pickup.
What's this? Way to go, Joe.
G.I. Joe Space-O-Matic from Hasbro.